Presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis has been burning through campaign cash trying to catch up to Donald Trump in the polls. Presidential candidates had to file their first campaign finance reports over the weekend, giving the public a glimpse of who's raised the most money so far.
In presidential election campaigns, money talks. Those vying for the White House were required to file their first financing reports for the June quarter, revealing who's drawing in the big money and who's scratching for cash. Former President Donald Trump not only leads in the polls, but in the campaign coffers as well. Multiple lawsuits have helped drive $17 million in donations his way.
If you don't have the funds, you don't even have to think about doing it. Don't give anything, don't donate, take care of yourself. But if you could chip in, if you've done well, if you've remembered those great 4 years that we had where you made a lot, we need your help.
The Trump campaign says it now has $22.5 million in cash to play with. For Ron DeSantis, the dollars spent aren't translating to any rise in the polls for the Florida governor. In total, he raised a respectable $20 million, but has already spent $8 million. $1 million of that on travel and staff, his campaign revealing they've had to let a number of staff go. What could spell trouble is that just a fraction of those are small donors, which tend to be the best indicator of grassroots supporters. Exactly what you need to encourage voter turnout in the primaries. In contrast, nearly 30% of Mike Pence's donations were $200 or less. But that's the only good news for the former vice president, who dwindles at the bottom of the pack, having raised only $1.2 million. While North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum has been trading $20 gift cards for $1 donations just to stay in the game. Over on the Democrat side of the ledger, Joe Biden's running a bare-bones campaign. As the sitting president, Joe Biden is the presumptive candidate, having declared his intention to run again. Joe Biden and the Democratic National Committee has raised $72 million, about the same as every Republican candidate combined. But the campaign has only spent $1.1 million in the second quarter and hired just 4 staff. By contrast, by the same point in Barack Obama's re-election campaign, he'd spent $11 million. While Robert F. Kennedy, nephew of former President John F. Kennedy, has raised $6.4 million, notably over a third of that from small donors. For Republicans, a crowded field of candidates makes fighting for campaign dollars that much harder, and Donald Trump is still dominating the race. Annalise Nielsen, Sky News, Washington, D.C.